Vikings, let's win the game.
Vikings fans, the team just made 2 new roster additions, but one of those signings immediately raised questions about Harrison Smith's future. Meanwhile, Minnesota's ground game could be heading for a dramatic transformation. On top of that, a stunning statement out of Arizona has made the quarterback battle between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy even more intense. And a Vikings legend just delivered a cryptic message. Minnesota's roster shuffle continued with another veteran addition, and this one could become more important than it initially appears. While linebacker Jamal Adams naturally grabbed most of the attention, the Vikings also signed running back Jordan Mims, giving Kevin O'Connell another option for a backfield that could play a much bigger role in 2026. Mims entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent with the Buffalo Bills in 2023 and has since spent time with the New Orleans Saints, Tennessee Titans, and San Francisco 49ers. According to Vikings.com's Lindsey Young, Mims spent the 2025 season on Tennessee's practice squad before signing with San Francisco in May. The 49ers released him on June 10th, and he later worked out for Minnesota near the end of the offseason program. His most meaningful NFL action came with New Orleans, where he appeared in 11 games and recorded 20 carries for 70 yards while adding 12 receptions for another 71 yards. Those numbers are not going to make anyone believe he is about to take touches away from Pro Bowler Aaron Jones Sr. or former 49ers running back Jordan Mason, but that may not be what Minnesota needs from him. The Vikings are searching for depth, competition, and players who can help them completely reshape a rushing attack that ranked only 23rd in the league last season. ESPN's Kevin Seifert pointed out that O'Connell hired longtime offensive line coach Frank Smith as assistant head coach and promoted Keith Carter to offensive line coach with the goal of improving the execution of the entire running scheme. That matters because Minnesota has produced only 23 runs of at least 20 yards during O'Connell's first 4 seasons, tied for the fewest in the NFL over that span. Seifert also identified rookie undrafted free agent Demon Claiborne as a player to watch after his 4.37-second speed showed up during OTAs and minicamp. Claiborne offers the explosive element this offense has been missing, while Mims enters camp fighting for any opportunity he can earn behind Jones, Mason, and that exciting rookie. His path remains difficult, but Keyshawn Owens being placed on the non-football injury list creates another opening. If Minnesota truly intends to lean harder on its running game, Mims now has a legitimate chance to prove that this late roster move was more than simple camp depth. This competition should also reveal whether the philosophical change is real or simply another offseason promise, because Minnesota cannot afford to place the entire offensive burden on whichever quarterback wins the job. Questions about Harrison Smith immediately exploded after Jamal Adams announced that he had agreed to join the Vikings, but the connection between those two developments may not be what many Minnesota fans initially assumed. Adams spent last season with the Las Vegas Raiders, earning a 67.3 overall defensive grade across 448 snaps. He recorded 38 solo tackles, generated 7 pressures, collected 1 sack, and allowed a 98.6 passer rating when targeted, although his 12 missed tackles remain a concern. Because Adams has spent most of his career identified as a safety, his arrival naturally created speculation that Minnesota already knew something about Smith's future. ESPN's Kevin Seifert quickly pushed back against that idea by reminding everyone that Adams played linebacker, not safety, during his season in Las Vegas. That distinction is important because it suggests the Vikings could view him as another versatile piece for the defensive front, rather than as Harrison Smith's direct replacement. Smith has not yet decided whether he will return for the 2026 season, but his performance last year proved that age has not completely taken away his impact. He played 793 defensive snaps, earned a 68.9 grade, allowed an 81.0 passer rating when targeted, surrendered only 21 receptions, and added 42 solo tackles. Alec Lewis recently explained that Smith looked like the familiar version of himself down the stretch, and that Brian Flores remaining as defensive coordinator was a major factor in keeping the possibility of a return alive. However, Lewis also warned that this decision could stretch deep into training camp or even into the opening part of the regular season. Smith has to evaluate his body, his mindset, and whether he is willing to make the physical and emotional commitment required for another NFL season. Former Vikings linebacker Ben Lieber offered an even more intriguing prediction. Lieber believes Smith could wait until the bye week, use that time to get himself into football shape, return on a limited snap count for 1 or 2 games, and then resume a full-time role. That would be an unusual arrangement. but Smith has earned enough respect inside the organization for Minnesota to remain patient. The Vikings also know how different the defense can look when he is not on the field. Adams gives Flores another experienced and aggressive defender, but his arrival does not close the door on Smith. If anything, it may give Minnesota the flexibility to wait without pressuring one of the greatest defensive players in franchise history into making a decision before he is ready. Kyler Murray may have arrived in Minnesota on a one-year prove-it deal, but the people who worked with him in Arizona are warning the rest of the NFL that the Vikings could be about to unlock something dangerous. In a July 28th report from Alec Lewis of The Athletic, one anonymous former Cardinals coach delivered an emotional prediction, saying Minnesota is about to see the best version of Murray and admitting that he is angry and jealous that he will not be part of it. That statement carries weight because Murray is not entering this competition as an inexperienced quarterback hoping to discover whether he belongs. He spent 87 games with the Cardinals, throwing for 20,460 yards and 121 touchdowns against 60 interceptions while producing a career passer rating of 92.2. The talent has always been visible. The real question has been whether the structure around him could consistently bring that talent out. Another former Arizona coach believes Kevin O'Connell's offense may provide exactly what Murray needs. He explained that Arizona tried to emphasize the quick passing game to protect Murray and argued that the quarterback should have no problem operating Minnesota's system if his feet, eyes, and timing remain connected. That is where O'Connell becomes central to this entire story. Murray does not need to spend every play running away from pressure and creating something chaotic. If he plays on schedule, processes the defense quickly, and delivers the football on time, the Vikings can take advantage of his arm talent without removing the mobility that makes him so difficult to defend. An anonymous former Cardinals executive offered an even more revealing explanation for Murray's inconsistency in Arizona, saying that the quarterback has always wanted to be held accountable, and that a lack of accountability may have contributed to his uneven performances. That is a telling message for Minnesota. O'Connell must coach Murray aggressively, demand discipline, and refuse to let his reputation or experience protect him from correction. If that approach works, the former executive believes the combination of Murray's talent, Minnesota's offensive weapons, and O'Connell's mind could create a frightening team. None of this means J.J. McCarthy should surrender the competition. Murray was released by Arizona and still has to prove that he can reclaim a starting job. But these comments suggest the Vikings did not sign him simply to create comfortable depth. They believe a different environment could revive a former #1 overall pick. Adam Thielen has already said that Murray currently owns the advantage, and if these former Cardinals employees are right, McCarthy will have to produce the best training camp of his young career to take it away. Adam Thielen did not dance around the biggest question hanging over Vikings training camp. The former Minnesota wide receiver believes Kyler Murray owns the starting job right now, but he also made it clear that J.J. McCarthy still has a real opportunity to take it from him. Thielen described McCarthy as the kind of leader teammates naturally want to be around, someone whose personality and energy make him easy to support. Minnesota used a first-round pick on him because the organization wants him to become its franchise quarterback, but wanting that outcome is no longer enough. McCarthy now has to demonstrate that he corrected the weaknesses that appeared last season. Thielen believes that is exactly why bringing Murray into the building could ultimately help the young quarterback. A year ago, McCarthy was effectively handed the keys to an offense with strong weapons and a talented defense. He did not create that situation, but he also did not have to defeat a proven veteran to earn the opportunity. Everything has changed now. Murray has experienced success in the NFL, has started for years, and arrived determined to prove that he still belongs under center. McCarthy understands what went wrong during his limited experience, but training camp will determine whether he can turn those lessons into better decisions, cleaner execution, and more consistent football. As Thielen explained, this competition forces McCarthy to perform at his absolute best because if he does not, the opportunity could disappear. What made Thielen's comments even more revealing was his explanation of why Murray might fit Kevin O'Connell's offense better than many people expect. After speaking briefly with O'Connell when Murray signed, Thielen went back to the tape and noticed that Murray plays on schedule more often than his reputation suggests. He is often viewed as a quarterback who immediately escapes the pocket and improvises, but the film shows plenty of plays where his drop, read, and release happen in rhythm. 1, 2, 3, and the football is out. That timing is essential in O'Connell's system. Murray's mobility remains a dangerous bonus, but Minnesota does not need to build the entire offense around broken plays. If he consistently delivers on time, he can distribute the ball efficiently while still punishing defenses when space opens. Thielen's message was not that McCarthy has already lost, it was that Murray enters camp ahead, and McCarthy must now prove he deserves to change that order. For Vikings fans, that creates tension, but it also gives Minnesota something it did not have last year, a quarterback job that must be earned every single day. Training camp has barely started, but the Vikings already have major decisions taking shape across this roster. Jordan Mims joins a backfield determined to become more explosive. Jamal Adams gives Brian Flores another versatile veteran, and Harrison Smith still controls the timing of his own future. But everything eventually returns to the quarterback battle. Kyler Murray may hold the early advantage, yet J.J. McCarthy finally has the pressure and competition that could force him to reach another level. Tell me who you believe should start, and whether Smith will return this season. Thank you for watching, Purple Faithful. I'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned. Skol Vikings, let's go.